Alright, so in the last video I just showed you how to use standard C++ file stream operations to create a text file and just save quantities generated in the simulation to the output file. So when we ran that, we created this text file, but it wasn't really helpful since we're just gonna overwrite the results. So if we wanted to run multiple things at once, like run multiple jobs at once, then would be overriding it each time. So in this video, I'm just going to show you a bit of overloading where we're going to make this file name change depending on what it's being given. So just I don't know, I'm not sure if you picked up on this, but up to this point, when we're running this simulation, this is edep sim, just to, which was just made to show stuff. It was just using a fixed seed. So this seed will determine what random processes are done. So this will generate a random number, and using the random number algorithm, it will determine, what process occurs. So every time we run the simulation, it will give it the same result. As long as the number of particles is the same. But for any real world study, you're going to be changing the seed so you can have changing results and then merge those results into one file, whether it be a root file, a text file, whatever. But I'm just going to show it using standard file stream operations, since the topics are the concepts, they translate to anything. But so I'm just going to talk about overloading a bit. So you may or may not have seen the video about classes, and if you haven't, then just be aware that as you've probably picked up when I'm talking about constructors and destructors of a class. So for instance, the stepping action class, it has this constructor which is called automatically once this function is called in the simulation. And in this case, when it's called here, when this stepping action class is created here, this constructor function is automatically called, which is we've defined it here. But we can make another constructor, and this is what we call overloading. So when we have the same function name but have multiple variants of that function. So let's say we want to give it an integer instead of no input. So if we create this function with no input, then this function will be called. And if we give it an integer, then this function will be called, which we'll define now. So let's just copy our current constructor, which takes no input, and paste it here. And we're going to change this to taking an input, and we'll call this integer seed. And as you expect, this is going to be the seed that simulation is using. So if we create the step action with no input, then it'll call this function. So let's just actually, Geaant4 out, no input given. Yeah, it's a good enough message. And Geaant4 now. And let's go SA for stepping action, just so when we see it, we don't get confused where it's coming from. So then we'll go SA input has been given, and that's exciting, so we'll give an exclamation mark. Then what we want to do is, let's just actually give it the seed. So in our main, we've got this seed variable, and based on the time, it'll generate a random number. And if you want to see a bit more about random number with C, then maybe you can see the standard, just the plain C++/Monte Carlo videos on that. But all we're doing is giving a seed, and when we run it, it will be different each time. And we're just passing that seed to the stepping action. So when we give it that number, then with this number, we want to, or the seed, we want to make this file name change depending on what seed is in the simulation or being created in the simulation. So it will be a different file name. So how I'm gonna do this using the string stream operation. So let's see if I can remember all the file name header or the classes I need to, or the libraries I need to include to use this. So string stream, I think I need to include string, and let's see if this works. Using namespace standard, and then actually let's just make sure it compiles before we go any further. So all we've done is given it these alternative constructor functions in the header and the class. See, all right. So no such file directory string. Is it S string? I might need to pause this, get the actual function name if it isn't this. So let's just quickly try stream. Try that. Ah, beautiful. So let's just see if it runs. Run electron. Blah, blah. Okay, seems okay. And let's just actually pipe that to less. So see our seed, well, before it was just always 1. Not sure if you noticed, but it was always 1. And so see our stepping action message. So input has been given. So we're calling the constructor function which takes input. So it's working. So it's promising so far. So back to this file name, and this would probably crash at the end since we never gave it a file name. But anyway, what I'm going to do to have like a seed that changes each time is I'm going to use what is called a string stream. So what this does is pretty much you can give this stream any text, just like any, when you go to Geaant4 cout or just standard cout, you output all this text, you can mix it with numbers. So if you just give this string, this stream anything like you would standard cout / Geaant4 cout, then you can just convert all this into a string / text or character array. So if I just give it a name, so let's just copy this name here, so detector edep, and then let's give it the seed that's input here, so it's defined here Geaant4 int seed, and then at the end just dot text, and then this is currently a string stream. So we need to then convert it into a string. And then once it's a string, we need to convert it into a character array. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but I never gave it a name. So let's call this out file ss for string stream. So let's just go out file ss and get rid of that extra t. So our file ss looks good. So we're going to convert this string stream outfile ss string stream, and we're going to convert that into a string. Wait. Yeah, okay, I think that's what we want. And then once it's been converted to a string, we convert it into a C string, which is pretty much just a character array, which don't need to worry. Just remember, if you want to look into it, Google's your friend. So let's see if that compiles, and let's actually output this name. So Geaant4 creating file name equals blah, and let's just copy all this stuff here. So if you don't actually convert it into a string and then a C string, then you'll get an error. Actually, I'll just compile it after. If it successfully compiles, I'll compile it without it. All right, so let's just get rid of the string stream. Actually, that might actually allow it for just printing to the screen. Let's check. So I got rid of the C underscore string. So that works. The output, but I don't think it works when you use the file string operator. But if we get rid of the string, I think that breaks it all. Whoops, let's make. Yeah, so we got this error here. C++ deduction, blah, blah. Cannot convert thread ID of just this junk here. So just be aware, we're using string streams. You need to convert them to strings and then C strings, which are pretty much just characters. And just in general, while we're talking about these string stream operators slash classes or whatever, these are very helpful whenever you're changing file names like this. So they're very helpful. So remember them. So let's just recompile now that we've got our string streams again. And let's run again. And what was, okay, let's just run it with less and see it all. So SA, so stepping action input has been given. So it's creating a file name equal to detector edep and the string there. So again, from last time the strings changed. So let's just output let's just go through the less as it's running. And it's already finished running. So got all these outputs here. So if we just see what's in this directory, we should see this file here, looking good. So what do I want to do? Just let's cat it, detector etap, loop. And so we got what we got. We got what we expected. So there's just example of overloading function. So we create another alternative constructor function, and depending on what function you call, the various function we called. And so if we changed our main to just get rid of the seed, and if we compile that, then it's going to now choose the constructor function, which, whoops, let's less this. So SA no inputs given. So let's just cancel that and change that back to seed. So depending on what input is given, it'll execute one of the functions, whatever matches the input type. And with this overloaded function for the constructor, we were able to use the OF stream, sorry, not the OF stream, the string stream to put mixes of text and, or yeah, string and numbers, and then just convert that all into a name. And from that, we're able to get these changing file names. So if we compile that again and just run it, just to show that we get different outputs. So let's just quickly run that. Good. So let's just check. So yep, we got these multiple output files. So all good.